Procrastination, by definition, is the voluntary and irrational delay of necessary or important tasks, even when you know it will lead to negative consequences like stress or failure. It's not simply laziness, but rather a failure of self-regulation, often driven by a desire for short-term mood relief from negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, or feeling overwhelmed. Well, we're gonna dive into this. I was feeling really pulled to talk about this because I think we've all dealt with procrastination. I actually have a good friend of mine who deals with procrastination, and if she's watching this right now, she's probably laughing that I'm talking about this. My husband has dealt with it before, many times, crippling, paralyzing procrastination. And I've had moments like that too. Some of us deal with it worse than others. And it's definitely a form of self-sabotage. It's written off as laziness, but I want to tell you, magic makers, you're not lazy if you're procrastinating, okay? Laziness is actually, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's often not the right term. A lot of times it's other things, and procrastination is an iceberg, all right? What you see when you say someone is lazy, right? You see laziness, right? They're procrastinating, they're lazy, they're not doing anything. What you don't see is the unending crippling thoughts and anxiety and fears, insecurities, depression. The list goes on and on and on. Maybe they're not eating properly. So if you're nutritionally deficient, that can affect your brain. If you're not regulating yourself emotionally and nutritionally and mentally and physically and all of that stuff environmentally, that can take a toll on you. And so therefore your goals and just regular everyday tasks can feel daunting and heavy and overwhelming because you're already feeling that way. Okay, so procrastination is not the same thing as laziness. In fact, like I said, I feel like laziness is not often the right term. I think you have to really think and observe before you call somebody lazy or even yourself. And also not write off procrastination as lazy or you just don't give a crap. Because in fact, people who procrastinate give a lot of craps, and so much so that they overthink things and overworry and overstrain themselves so much that they don't do anything because they're paralyzed under the crippling pressure of their thoughts, fears, anxieties, insecurities, and so on. So let's unpack that though, okay? Procrastination is a call to action. I know, that sounds really absurd considering the procrastination completely keeps you from acting, right? But how we get out of that is we recognize procrastination as a call to action. And it may not be on the things you think you have to do right now. You will get those things done and get more focused on those things that are important to you when you focus inside on the things that are calling for your attention, that have become so heavy that now you can't do the things you actually really want to do. Okay, so procrastination is a call to action, but it's a call to action and observance within. Okay, let's go through that definition again, right? So it is a voluntary and irrational delay. Okay, so it's self-sabotage, a form of self-sabotage of necessary or important tasks, even when you know for a fact it's going to lead to consequences like stress or failure. It is not simply laziness, but rather a failure of self-regulation. Okay, let's start there. Self-regulation. What does that mean? Let's look up its definition. Okay. Self-regulation is the ability to control one's own behavior, emotions, and thoughts to achieve long-term goals. Okay? So, controlling your behavior. That's all linked in with your thoughts and feelings. Behavior is a response of the thoughts and the emotions, beliefs even, which then creates behaviors, which then creates habits. So self-regulation is really taking a step back and looking at your thoughts every day, how you feel, and how that eventually, inevitably, triggers you to move and behave and therefore habitually live. Okay? So start by self-regulating. Make that your first step to help with your procrastination. Okay? And I know you're going to be like, well, what if I procrastinate on doing that? Even in your moment of just sitting there feeling like you're doing nothing, you're still doing stuff, right? You're overstressing, you're over-worrying, you're over-analyzing, you're anxious, you're insecure. Okay, so sit with that while you're already sitting. Okay? While you're already laying in bed, freaking out. While you're already in the shower, spacing out. Why don't you space in, zone in, and just for a couple of minutes, while you're already there, really sit with and look at, what are you thinking? What are you actually thinking? Not attached to the thought, just what is the thought? What are the thoughts? How is this making you feel emotionally? How are you feeling emotionally on a consistent basis? And what are the behaviors that inevitably erupt and arise and come from that? And are these behaviors creating habits that align with your goals? Because you can have all these goals, right? But if you're not self-regulating and you're not looking at, do my thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and habits support this? Your mojo is going to be off. Because then your goals are going to be overwhelming. And that's why you'll look at your goals and your dreams and your visions and be like, oh, and you'll feel all this fear and this anxiety and this depression and this weight. And it's not the goal that's doing that. It's all the stuff that you're not really processing. Because that's just it. That's another thing. Like, are you processing? Like when we say, oh, I need time to process, are you, or are you just marinating in shit? Because a process has a beginning, middle, and end, and then it filters out and it's complete. But if you're just experiencing the same cycle of stuff, you're not processing. You're marinating and you're avoiding and you're doing quick little things to shift your mood right now, but you're not processing anything out. So it keeps coming back up. Okay? So that's why your goals, your visions, your dreams, the things you're excited about, stuff you want to manifest, the magic you want to make in your life, the relationship improvements you want to make, the money goals you have, the life experiences you want to have, just all these things you keep saying, I want, become so overwhelming because you're not self-regulating. You're not asking yourself, do my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, and my habits align with this vision? That's magic. Magic is self-regulation. Magic is just science in motion. It's spirit and science working together. Okay? It's all practical. It's all a machine. And all those parts need to work together in order for everything to work efficiently. Okay? So start there. Sit, whether you're in your pajamas or you got dressed or whatever, sit there. And just for a few moments, even if all you got is 5-10 minutes, just analyze your thoughts, write them down. Analyze your feelings, write them down. Take observance of the way you behave and jot little notes down of like, okay, I do this consistently. I do that consistently. Not everything you do. I'm talking about the stuff you do consistently. Write it down. And after about a week, look over your notes and see what you do consistently in accordance with how you feel and what you think. Your habits are your rituals. Okay? Your life is a sacred space. It is a continued magical act. It's continued magic. Okay? And that magic can be black magic working against you. It could be a curse, or it could be healing magic. You know, it could be baneful or it can be beneficial. Does that make sense? I hope this is making sense. This is what Spirit told me I need to speak on, so this is what I'm speaking on. So take your time doing that for a few weeks. I'm not saying do it for a week and be like, okay, I do this consistently, I guess I'll adjust that. No, do this for a few weeks. Do this for like a month or so, just the self-regulation. So you can get yourself in the habit of this, directing your analysis out of paralysis and into persistence, into observance, okay? Because it's okay that you're analytical. It's okay that you think. It's okay that you are not nitpicking, but, you know, just like that you look at all these factors, right? But you're looking at so many things to distract yourself from what really matters for yourself. You know, and that's what causes procrastination, and that's what causes the anxiety and the cycle of, I feel like a failure, I can't do anything. And then, yes, you can, because look at what you're doing right now with all that energy. Look at what you've manifested with all that energy. So you could direct that analysis towards self-regulation, self-regulating behaviors, habits that help you to succeed, okay, and help you to manifest the healthy, happy life that you deserve. So now, let's go back, right? Okay, so self-regulation. It's simply not laziness, but rather a failure of self-regulation, often driven by a desire for short-term mood relief. Okay, mood relief. That sticks out a lot. I love looking up definitions of things because, like I said, I'm a word witch. So, like, I know what these things mean, but I like to look up their definitions more because the words behind the words, are like the soul to me, you know, and it makes sense, right? So, mood relief. So, what is a mood? What is a mood? Let's look that up. What is the definition of mood? Okay. A mood is a temporary state of mind or feeling. Okay. So we go back, right? A failure of self-regulation driven by a desire for short-term mood relief. Short-term mood relief. So for a fleeting feeling of something, rather than a consistent, stable feeling that lasts, right? Quick fix. We just want to feel like a relief, right? Rather than a consistent feeling of regulation. We just want a relief. We just want to, you know, take the edge off, relieve the pressure a little bit. But it comes right back because you're not doing the inner work to regulate and to delegate accordingly what needs to be done to feel the way you want to feel. So let's start with that. How do you even want to feel? How do you want to wake up every day? How do you want to live your life? What actually needs to change? And how will you feel and how will you benefit for the better by changing that? When you can get an idea of that, then you can ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do consistently? How do I need to regulate myself consistently to match up mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, soulfully to the person that feels that way? Instead of just these quick little things like, you know, to make yourself feel a little better, but not healthy, not happy. Does that make sense? You hear my little guy in the background? He's playing with his dad right now. Short-term mood relief from negative emotions, such as fear, anxiety, or state of overwhelm. Okay? And this could be other things too. Depression, insecurity, jealousy, tons of reasons. Okay? Now, negative emotions happen. Negativity is not the same thing as toxicity. It becomes toxic when you don't do anything about it. It becomes lethal when you don't do anything about it. So keep that in mind. The more you delay doing this inner work, that is going to make you feel better. Don't wait on motivation. Don't wait on a mood. You still got to do it. Okay? But the more you delay then it will become toxic. Then it will start poisoning your life and you and your relationships and everything else. Okay? Negative emotions happen though. I get angry. I get sad. I get disappointed. I get moody sometimes where I just feel off and I just don't want to be around anybody. And I don't know why sometimes. Sometimes it's just like I just, leave me alone. I get overwhelmed. I get anxious. But we don't cling to that feeling, right? We have to move the energy. It's energy. All those emotions are messengers. So if you're feeling anxiety, instead of looking for a quick little thing to just stave it off a little bit, understand that your anxiety is a messenger. Start observing again. Okay, well, when did I start feeling this anxiousness or this jealousy or this depression or this fear? Or you put the word in. You put the feeling in. When did this start? What was going on that triggered this? Now, it could be something challenged you and you got anxious because you're too comfortable where you are. It could also be that you're just hanging around the wrong people. It could be something you ate. You could have an intolerance to something and you're constantly eating it just because you like it. Sorry. But like, how many times, I've done this too, like how many times have we been like, oh, but I just really like eating it even though it makes me feel like shit. Okay, well then that's why you feel like shit. So start retracing your steps and being like, okay, where did this start? So I can nip it right in the ass and be like, okay, where did it start? What did it trigger in me? How can I eliminate and adjust accordingly? Does that make sense? Because the more you try to just kind of stave these things off, it piles up. And that pile continues and furthers and contributes to your procrastination. Okay? So face your fears. Face your anxieties. Whatever's overwhelming you is showing you where you might be taking on too much, where you might be misaligned and lying to yourself about things too, where you might not be asking for help, where you might be surrounded by the wrong people who just take, and you're just allowing it, where you might be people pleasing. All of these emotions are trying to tell you something. So instead of ignoring them and finding a way to just avoid them and relieve yourself temporarily of their pressure, listen to them. Because emotion is just energy in motion. Emotions come up to help you move things, to get things going. They're not your enemy. But they will turn into a poison if you repress them. And that poison can be procrastination, because it could be paralyzing, where you get nothing done and then you feel worse and then nothing happens because you feel worse and worse and worse. So start listening to that energy as it's trying to move within you and move you too. If you're angry, that means something needs to change. Something is not kosher in your field and in wherever you are. Something needs to change. You're not honoring or respecting yourself in some way. And so therefore you're angry about it. And you could say, well, it's because other people are disrespecting me, dishonoring me. Well, they wouldn't do that if you didn't let them. So the anxiety is a call to action in terms of you need to just make a decision. Stop worrying about whether it's the right decision or the wrong one and just make one, because that's how you learn. Yeah, could it be the wrong choice? Sure. But how are you going to know if you don't do anything? So don't worry about it. Just make a decision, work with it, roll with it. If it doesn't work, then at least you know that it doesn't work. At least you know you didn't like it. It didn't align. It didn't resonate. It didn't match up to what you wanted. It reminds me of like a friend of mine the other day just told me about a job offer that she has. And I said, go for it. And then she was like, I don't know, because I still feel like I really want to work for myself. And I said, well, absolutely. I was like, you need to share your gifts. They're amazing. 'Cause she's an amazing woman. I'm not going to mention her name without her permission. She's amazing. She does amazing work. She is super successful, and I love her. And so finally she comes back and she's like, I think I'm still going to go to the interview for this job position, because it could be a good fit for me. I don't know. And I was like, yeah, why don't you just go? Because you're not going to know until you go there, until you feel it out for yourself and see if everything they're offering is actually in alignment with you. And if it is, then go. And if it's not, then you still know, like, you have your work to do, your sacred work to do. No matter what, you're still going to be doing it. It may just look different, And she was like, that's true, And it's the same thing. You're never going to know fully until you just do something. Until you just go for it. You could have all the ideas in your head of like, oh, well, this probably won't align with me because I'm this way. Well, are you that way? Or are you that way because of fear and doubt and someone else's voice in your head telling you you're that way? So you're never going to know you like something or you align with something until you just try it. That's how you push your authentic self to come out and shine and live and experience. And that's how you break through the procrastination too. So, in conclusion, procrastination is a call to action. Sit with these things. Self-regulate. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? What is the vision you have for yourself, right? And before you get overwhelmed with the vision, start from the root and work your way up. Start from the root by saying, okay, what am I not doing that supports this vision? What am I doing that goes against this vision that I can start cutting out now? Because the more you start doing that and applying those habits daily, your vision's just going to come to fruition anyway. Your vision's just going to come to life anyway, because you're uprooting and pulling out all the stuff that blocks it, blinds you from it, poisons it. You're doing it. So start there. I hope this makes sense. Like I said, spirit and my guides, this was a spiritual pull to speak on this. And I know this is something I need to hear in certain areas of my own life. So message received, and I hope you received it as well. If you need any support whatsoever, I am available Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 12 to 7 p.m. for spiritual coaching and mentoring, tarot readings, Reiki healing, right of the womb sessions, and so much more. If you have any questions whatsoever about the services I offer, or you would like to book a consultation so we can kind of see what support you need, you can email me at jpspiritualfitness@gmail.com. I'm also going to put in the description below my Buy Me a Coffee link if you just want to support the sacred work I'm doing on and offline and want to send a intuitive, soul-felt donation of your choosing to the work I'm doing here. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Wake up and win, witches. Wake up and win. You got this. You got this.